Hello, my name is Julie, and this is Stamp with Julie Baum. It's time for another episode of Simply Saturday. For today's project, we are not doing a card and we are not doing a tag. We are doing a little Christmas project that is simple. Now, there are a couple of steps, and so it's not quite the fastest project that you've ever made, but it is easy. And so I encourage you to watch or craft along with me. I think you're going to really think that this project is adorable. All right, I'm going to show you and we're going to talk about these. And before we do that, I want to talk about the stamp set. So Festive Friends is available as a bundle. This is a stamp set with dies. And what I've done is I went ahead and cut out a couple of the trees. I didn't cut out all the dies, but the trees, some of these little accent pieces, and I did them in a couple different colors just so you could see them here. All right, so we've got some trees, some snowflakes, the little diamonds, the starbursts, and so forth. All right, so there is a good example of some of the dies. Now, as I was getting started with this, I was inspired by a little Christmas project that I saw that was a cute little Santa on top of a stick, and it was used as a pick. Now you could pop this pick into a plant or an arrangement or into a stocking. You could tuck it into the top of a gift bag. There were so many ideas. And so when I saw the size of Festive Friends and had that little inspiration in my mind, I thought, all right, let's try to make a pick using these. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is some of the stamping, and I am going to use a stamp positioner. Now, Stampin' Up! Does not currently sell one. We did a long time ago, so if you've been around for a while, you might have the Stamparatus. But that is not being sold right now, and I'm using a different stamp positioner called the Misty. I'm going to show you how we can get really beautiful images stamped, and also the idea of doing more than one at a time. So you could do 2 or 3 at a time when we do this. So I'm going to back up a little bit in case you've never used a stamp positioner and explain this. If you already know how to use a stamp positioner, then this will just be repeat information for you. All right, so I have my piece of paper that I'm going to stamp on. I'm going to go ahead and place it here in my Misty, my positioner. I'm going to use a couple of these magnets. Now I have a couple extra magnets because I have multiple positioners and different tools throughout the years. So I actually have a couple extra magnets, but I'm going to use 3. 2 would hold it just fine, which is what typically comes with one of these types of tools. So I've got my magnets in place to hold my paper down. Then let me take the stamps off of here so you can really see start to finish how this would go. All right, I'm going to stamp the elf. And so I just go ahead and place it right onto my cardstock where I want it to be stamped. I can do the same thing with Santa. And I'm not going to take the time to pull it out, but I could take the snowman and put it right here and do all 3 at the same time. Now, once your stamp or stamps are in position, then you simply close the little acrylic lid. It's a hinged lid, and press so that your stamps cling to the lid. That becomes your block, all right? Usually you attach your stamps to an acrylic block. In this case, they're attached to this piece. All right, now I'm gonna swing this sideways to make it a little bit easier on camera for you to view what I'm doing. All right, and I'm gonna take my black ink. This is my Memento black ink, and I'm going to ink my stamps. Now, the best way to do this is to hold the ink pad, turn it ink side down, and ink your stamp like this. All right, so we'll just go ahead and do both, even though as the video continues, we're only going to complete one of these, but I want to show you the process. All right, so I've got my stamps inked. I'm going to go ahead and close the lid. And this is going to give me my stamped images. I'm going to twist this again so it's straight for you so that you can see. And 2 things. 1, I'm going to go ahead and just press with my fingers. And then something that I've seen many other people do, at first I didn't think it was necessary, but I bought one and tried it, and I think it's super helpful. Now, maybe it's just because of my age and stage. Sometimes my wrists get a little sore. If you use this little tool, this looks like an air hockey paddle. You can use this to press, and for some reason, it just feels better to me than pressing like this. Totally up to you. This is just a little Amazon find. All right, so I'm gonna press that. Now, the beautiful thing about using a stamp positioner is I'm going to open this, and I'm guessing that those black images are not quite as deep, dark black as I want them to be. So, they're not bad. You can see Santa's face is a little faded, and I would actually like the whole thing a bit darker. So, we can repeat the process. Our paper stays in the exact same spot. Our stamps stay in the exact same spot. And so now by re-inking, I'm going to be able to stamp again and have the stamps line up exactly in the same position. Now, I'll probably do this a third time because I do want to show you how you can get just specific problem areas. So let's go ahead and do it our second time and press. All right, let's take a peek at Santa and the elf. All right, that is pretty good. And if I wasn't filming a video to teach you something, I would probably just stop there. But let's say that Santa's mustache was still not quite dark enough. You can take your ink pad and come in with a little bit more precision and just add a little bit of ink in certain areas. All right, now you're going to pick up some on other areas, but I'm really concentrating right there on Santa's face, and you can see that I've done that. Then when I stamp it, it's just going to add ink there. You can see how helpful a stamp positioner might be for you to have in all of your craft tools. All right, now Santa and the elf are nice, deep, dark black, crisp, clean images. I'm super happy with them. We can go ahead and take the paper out of the stamp positioner. I'm going to keep my magnets away from each other if at all possible. They are very strong and like to cling together. We're going to take this out and let me move this out of the way. All right, now we need to cut these out. So I've got my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine here. I did bring my full-size one in, not my mini. So I need to make some space here, and let's see if we can do that. All right, I got a lot going on here. Okay, I have my plates all in position. I'm gonna go ahead and lay my cardstock on here and find my dies. So I need the elf, and I can do Santa at the same time. Because I'm using 2 dies and I don't want anything to shift, oops, that's the snowman. I don't want anything to shift out of alignment. I am going to use some artist tape. This is just low tack tape. You can use Post-it tape. You can even use a Post-it. I find this to be the most economical because it comes in a big roll, and I can save a lot of money by using little strips of this instead of actual Post-it notes, which I think are a little bit expensive to use and throw away all the time. All right, I've got my dies lined up, I think right where I want them. All right, I need my top plate. Oh, way over here. Okay. I am hoping that Santa brings me a new set of acrylic plates because I really need to replace these with some new ones. All right, moving that right through the machine. Let's take this out of view for just a moment. We're going to need it again in a second. Okay. Now we've got our two pieces here. I do like to be really careful, even though it's low tack tape, I want to be careful that it's not going to tear my image. So I'm going very slowly. Sometimes I even blow warm air on there, like you're fogging your glasses, just to give that tape to loosen up. There's our elf. And there's our Santa. All right, super cute. Now, I'm going to move these things out of the way because I do want to show you one more thing that we're going to do with the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. All right. This isn't going to come into the project until a few minutes from now, but we're in the process of cutting, and so I want to just keep that momentum going. Once I have my little elf or Santa ready to go and be ready to become a pick, I wanted it to have something rather sturdy so that it would stand up nicely, just be a little bit tougher, and then also go onto the actual stick part of the pick. And so in thinking how to do that, I thought I would test some fun foam. Are you familiar with fun foam? Okay, I had a bunch of pieces of white fun foam. These usually come in like, I don't know, maybe 8.5 by 11 sheets or 12 by 12. So I had, for some reason, a bunch of sheets of white fun foam. So I'm going to take my fun foam, stick it here into my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Now, the one thing that I want to tell you is this might not be the best practice for your machine. So I cannot tell you to do this. I'm only going to show you that I was willing to risk it and do it with my machine. It is a little bit thicker, obviously, than cardstock. And so I'm just going to leave that little disclaimer that if you want to take care of your machine the very, very, very best way, you may not want to do this. But I was willing to try it, and I'm super happy with the outcome. All right, I'm going to stick a circle die onto my white fun foam. And then I learned this because I tried a few of them. Remember when I said that I needed new cutting pads, these acrylic pads? You can see that mine are really scarred from many, many, many months of stamping and classes and so forth. So if I just put this on here and run it through, those little scratches and scars are going to show up on my fun foam. They're going to press themselves in almost like an embossed image. So I don't want that to happen. So I just put a simple piece of scratch paper over it. Then I placed my plate on, which is very well loved. It's all cracked and scarred. And I'm going to run this now through my machine. I'm going to go back also, just to give it an extra little attempt at cutting through that foam. All right, let's slide this out of the way so we can see what we've done. All right, now you can see that it cut my circle. So now I have a fun foam circle that is going to become the backing or the base for my Christmas pick. All right, we've got the mechanics and the hardest part of this done. We've got our images stamped and die cut, and we have our base. Now, as we are going to get ready to just do the coloring and the decorating and all that, this is driving me crazy that my glass mat is really sticky right here. So quick intermission. Well, I use these little alcohol pads for so many things. I had to get that sticky residue off of that. It was really bothering me, and I didn't want my project to end up in it. Okay, commercial over. All right. As I mentioned, to keep this short, I'm going to go ahead and just complete the elf, and we will move on with that. But then I'll bring back the 3 finished projects that I already did, the snowman, the Santa, and another elf, so that you can see them all. All right, so I want to color my elf, and what I chose to use was Poppy Parade. I could have used Real Red, and I did on the Santa, but on my little elf, I wanted Poppy Parade. So I'm going to color the little hat, and I'm using Poppy Parade Light just to do an all over color of the cap, his little cap. All right. And then same thing on the shirt. We've got sleeves, teeny little sleeves. And then the body of the shirt. I'm using the brush tip. It allows me to get a lot of space covered really quickly. I'm not going to worry about that button. We're just going to go right over it. All right, then I really like, what color did I pick? This says Summer Splash. Is that what I used? Let me make sure I didn't pull the wrong thing out. I indeed used Summer Splash. Okay, I did some other tests with Call Me Clover. Do you remember Call Me Clover? That is a really pretty green. But I think on my sample I used Summer Splash. Oh, I did. It's a bright cherry green. It's slightly blue, but I would still call it green on my little elf here. Okay, there's that. And then let's do, I don't know, is this the elf's pants? Is this the bottom of a tunic top? I don't know what this is, but I like that it is an easy shape to just color in really fast like that. All right, I'm gonna come back in now with my Poppy Parade Dark. And as you can see, I'm just gonna make some shading. I think this part where it's all scrunched would definitely look darker right there. All right, and then I think we'll come, this would look like a little shadow under his chin. And I think we'll put a little dark here and here. And let's come across this as well. I love the idea of the Stampin' Blends. I'm using 2 shades of the same color. So they blend, they shade and shadow. It really is a fun way to do your coloring. All right, now I'm gonna show you what I decided to do with the skin. All right, I have Petal Pink Light and Petal Pink Dark. And so the first thing that I did is added some Petal Pink to the ears. This is light, the ears. And then I just outlined the face. I mean, it's hardly there. It is so, so light, but what it does is it makes it look like I didn't forget to do the face, like it was just left plain. All right, so I did an outline of the light Petal Pink, and then I'm gonna come in with dark Petal Pink and put just a little bit of color on the cheeks. It's so light, it's not even really pink, it's just a little bit of color, little rouge. Okay, and then I wasn't sure about the hair, so on my elf I gave some yellow gold hair. This is Daffodil Delight. I felt like that looked more finished than just leaving it undone. The last thing that I'm gonna do, and I did want to mention, is a lot of times when I leave an area white, I still like to outline it in a light gray, which is what I'm gonna do on the pom-pom here. Again, just so it doesn't look like I forgot to color it, I didn't ignore it. By just doing a light outline of the gray, it kind of makes the white pop. All right, let's come in with that green again and finish the sleeves. And then on my first elf, I did nothing with the shoes or the legs. I think on this one though, I'm gonna go ahead and use light black. Maybe they're like little boots. I did it on my Santa and I liked it. So we'll make these, you can see the other one that I did and see if you like it better left white. All right, and there is our cute little elf. All right, so to put the project together, I'm going to go back to that little circle, and I want to go back also to those die cuts and choose some of these to use as a little background. So I've got a shaded spruce, tall, skinny tree. That might be fun to use. I have, this is either Call Me Clover or it might be Summer Splash also. I think this is Call Me Clover because I had a lot of that cardstock left. Anyway, we've got a green bushy tree, a green tall tree. That might be cute. I also have a number of snowflakes. Look at this blue sparkle. I found some old blue glimmer paper, and look at that snowflake. I also found some white shimmer paper. So we've got some options. We're going to just put together our little scene. Maybe we'll do that and add, I really like these sparkly snowflakes, so maybe we'll add a couple of these. I think that's the way we're going to go. All right, let's go ahead and put it together. Now, the fun thing about the fun foam is different kinds of adhesive will stick to it. So, whoops, let me try to go this way. There we go. All right, so I learned that our liquid glue works. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue here. And attach that to the foam circle. Give it just a minute and it will bond. All right, also, tear and tape will stick to the foam. So on my tree, I tried that and it worked well. All right, building our little scene. And then to add the little snowflakes, let's go ahead and do that. You could use some glue dots if you wanted to, or again, your liquid glue will work, and I just think that it's fast and easy. Where did I put the glue? Oh, on that one, that one, and that one. I didn't put any glue under this one. That's why it's not sticking. Let's add a dab. All right, and then let's see where he's gonna go. How about one more up here? I feel like it needs the height up there. Mine are gonna hang off of the project just a little bit. They're gonna hang off of that white circle, which doesn't bother me. And again, I totally understand that this cute project is basically going to be a throwaway. You know that once this is done being a pick in an arrangement, or it's done being a pick in a stocking, it's just going to go in the trash. So I don't want to put all of my heart and soul into something that's going to maybe get thrown out the second that it is touched. So we're going to decorate and make it look really cute, but also not go overboard. All right, I've got 3 pieces of tear and tape that I've just snipped, and I'll put those right across our little elf. And we will stick this on. Then I'm going to show you how to attach the stick part so that you have a pick. And if you also look for my Facebook post, when I put this video, I'll probably put it as a reel up on my Facebook. I'll also snap some pictures of how cute these picks are already tucked inside the stocking. The stockings are obviously not in my stamp studio. They are way across the house hanging on the fireplace. So I'm not going to move the camera that far while I'm filming, but I will take some pictures of those and I'll post the pictures on my other sites. All right, I'm looking at this and I feel like this red line needs to be blended a little bit. So I'm bringing my Poppy Parade light back out and just softening that a little bit. There we go. It just needed to be blended. Should we do that here too? Sometimes I like the dark outline and sometimes it needs to be blended. There we go. All right, here we go. Let's move that out of the way. We're gonna take this, and I'm using a barbecue skewer, like if you were gonna skewer kebabs. And I'm just gonna lay it. Now this is what I decided. I'm gonna take the pointy part and put it on the foam and attach it. Now the reason is I'm using these in my grandkids' stockings. So even though they're gonna be a pick, this end is not super sharp. If I was going to put it in an arrangement, I would attach it this way because I would want that nice pointy end to go down into the plant base or the floral foam or whatever you're using in your arrangement. So you have to decide which end of the skewer to go ahead and attach to your foam circle. All right, I'm just gonna lay it on here. I am not worried that the tape is going to show, so I'm going to use a couple pieces of tear and tape to attach this. And I feel like 3 is not quite enough, so I'm going to use 4 pieces. All right, let's just stick it down. I mean, the white blends with the white anyway. Nobody is going to care about the back of this, so I was not concerned with it. If you don't like the idea of the tear and tape, let me make sure, oh, it's not straight. If you don't like the idea of the tear and tape, I would suggest using hot glue, but that was about the last thing that I felt like doing today was getting my hot glue gun out. So I chose to just use tear and tape. Let's try that again. Nice and straight, lined up with the feet, and there we go. I'm glad I peeked when I only put the first 2 pieces on because that was not straight at all. I should take another peek, right? There we go. Okay, that's much better. Okay, 3, I'm gonna put right over that pointy part, and 4. And that is gonna hold it nice and secure for its purpose. All right, there we have our cute, cute, cute little elf pick. And let's bring the other ones in so that you can see. So here is the other elf. I just decorated it a teeny bit different. I used the little starbursts instead. And oh, you know what I did on this one that I did not do in the video? I took my pool party, where is it? My pool party Stampin' Blend, and I colored right on the foam. So the elf is actually standing on like a little shadow of blue. The foam was surprisingly easy to color on. All right, so there's an elf. Here is a cute little snowman. And here is our Santa Claus. All right, there's the project. And as I said, make sure that you go to my Facebook business page and look at the photos once these have been inserted into the top of the stockings. Thank you so much for watching. It's such a joy for me to be able to share these fun ideas with you. And I absolutely love to get your comments and your questions. So be sure and interact with me. I love it so much. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe. It doesn't cost anything, and that way you will never miss one of my videos. You can also be sure to open the drop-down box below this video where I like to place a lot of helpful information for you, including shopping links, the products that I used, and so forth. Thanks again for watching. Have a great day. Happy stamping.